Yo, what's going on, PV Nation? This is your boy Lionel, class of 2009, back again for another episode of PV versus everybody. And I'm excited, man. I hope y'all excited. The season is already in full gear. But I was just thinking on yesterday and about this episode, this show, and I was like, Prairie View, we have had, you know, we have had like other SWAC teams, a run at individuals who have hit the league, and got an opportunity, right, to make a name for themselves in order to not necessarily get drafted in every case, right, but have a chance to have get undrafted free agent contract, and have a chance to make an NFL roster. And I was thinking, like, what current players do we have on the team that this weekend at SMU have a chance to really kind of grow their brand, to make a name for themselves, as it were? Because when you have scouts who are going to come and look at a player, they're really going to look at those games where you had an elevated level of competition, right? And so, SMU obviously is probably the biggest game on the schedule as far as us this year, against an FBS competitor. They probably look at the Abilene Christian game, right? They'll probably look at the game later on in the year against FAMU. If we win the SWAC West, get to the SWAC championship game, that'd probably be a game, of course, Celebration Bowl. But these are kind of those games that they'll say, okay, these are those big contests against other individuals, other great talent that we want to see kind of how did it go, right, when they went against a level of competition that is a little bit more elevated, right? And of course, we know that there's great players all throughout the SWAC, all throughout the MEAC, all throughout HBCU ranks, right? We've seen that this year, we've seen that many years in the past. But what players at Prairie View have the opportunity to make a name for themselves throughout this year, and specifically this game, right? I like what Coach Coach Willie Simmons says, right? It's not just a money game, right? It's a get your money game, right? And so we want to talk about this today, man. Not going to be on too long, but just wanted to come on and just talk about this for a second. And of course, if you are not subscribed to the channel, and make sure you subscribe, show some love, man. Subscribe to the channel, to our YouTube page, where we're coming out with content. Focus on PV Nation, focus on PV athletics and PV sports. So definitely show your love, man, by liking and subscribing. Share the content with a friend of a friend of a friend, right? And let them know this is the place to be. So without further ado, right, when we talk about these money games, and when we talk about these opportunities to get your money, I think now we're definitely in another space too, right? And so even when we're talking about getting your money, back in the day, I think you were in a position where only the NFL, right? You only think of the NFL when you're thinking about individuals having a chance to get their money, right? But the NFL is not the only place now that you can actually go and get some funds from, right? I mean, now you have multiple leagues, right? You have multiple leagues that individuals are in, and the individuals are a part of. That again, are they making the type of money, right, that you can get from one long-term NFL contract? Of course not, right? The NFL obviously is the best of the best in this sport, right? Just as the NBA, right, would be the best of the best in that sport. But at the end of the day, there are other places that you can play, other opportunities that you can have where you still have an opportunity to make money, right? To actually be able to actually get some funds for you to be able to use to continue to grow yourself in the sport and to maybe one day have an opportunity to grab that NFL contract, to get on the NFL roster, NFL practice squad, right? And you never know the opportunities that open up, right? Because, many times throughout the league and the NFL, I mean, there are literally injuries that happen all of, all of, all of the time, right? Like literally all of the time, injuries happen. And so, I was just thinking about that and thinking about, okay, this opportunity that individuals have, to get in the league, this is something that could be great, right? And so a lot of the times these are the games, like I say, right? These money games are the games that give people that opportunity to actually come and say, okay, I'm gonna show what I am, right? I'm gonna show against another level of competition, right? What I can do, right, and what I have the ability to get done. And so I kind of just want to, like I said, come and talk a little bit about that today. Let me share, this with you guys as well. I'm just realizing this thing didn't load up, so let me go back real quick, um, and pull this up for you because when we talk about individuals in the league, individuals that have an opportunity to go to get places, right? Whether it's XFL, whether it's UFL, we know that right now, as far as Panthers is concerned, right? We have what's going on, Jimmy man. Thank you for joining, man. We're just jumping on talking about, we're talking about the get your money game, right? So today that's kind of what we're having a conversation about, but I want to pull this up real quick, just to kind of show you guys what that's not what I'm looking for actually. Let me pull this up real quick. There we go. Just to show you guys kind of, what PV Nation has done, recently in terms of when you're talking about an opportunity for people to actually play in the league, right? Right now, we have five individuals that I know of, and of course, if anybody has any other information, that I'm not privy to, then of course, let me know, right? But let me pull this up real quick. I don't know why this is not downloading. All right, there we go. Boom. Let me pull this up real quick for you guys to see. There we go. All right. Let me add this. All right, so you guys can see right now where we at, right? So stallions, right? So when we talk about, when we're talking about an opportunity to get your money, right? We have a couple players that are, in these various different leagues. And so I'm not just speaking about it from a standpoint of can these individuals get to the NFL? I'm saying they have an opportunity to have a chance to get somewhere and continue to play ball, right? Which, as long as they're playing ball and playing well, we've seen people come up from the CFL. We've seen people come up from the XFL, the USFL, right, in order to get a opportunity in the NFL. And so let's look at a couple people, man, that I think have an opportunity this weekend to do the same, right? And the first name that comes up is Brian Juice Jenkins, man. Brian Juice Jenkins. When you look at his career, right, at Alabama A&M, I mean, this is a guy who has made a name for himself in the SWAC, right? Very shifty receiver, right, with a lot of speed. And up in this point in his career, right, he has 98 receptions for 1,069 yards and 5 touchdowns leading up to this season, right? And that was in only 26 games played, right? So he only had one full year so far that he has played, when he was at Alabama A&M, right? A couple other years, he was only had 5 games. Of course, there was a COVID season where he only played 4 games. And so he doesn't have a huge amount of games under his belt. But to look and see, okay, man, he's put up 98 receptions and 1,069 yards, right? 5 TDs in only 26 games. I mean, when you think that's like 2 seasons in a game or two, right? That he's played. And so, I mean, if you kind of break those stats off and look at that as over like a 2 season stat line, right? I mean, you're talking about 49 receptions, 500 plus yards, right? And 2, 3 touchdowns, right? And I think what he needs to show this year is he needs to increase that end zone rate, right? I mean, if he can this year get into the end zone more based on the trajectory I believe that he's on right now, I think he has an opportunity, right, to make his name known, right, and get his opportunity, get his shot, right, just like a Joshua Simmons did a couple years back, right, 4 or 5 years ago, right, to now have a chance where he is in the USFL that, hey, Brian Jenkins can do the same, right? Right now, if you look at his trajectory, he's on track to do about 44 receptions, 781 yards with 3 touchdowns. And when I was looking at the All SWAC team from last year, that puts him up there with other receivers who had All SWAC honors, right? And so that's going to be very close, right? That's going to put him borderline of whether he is an All SWAC player or not. But again, all right, if he's looking for an opportunity, this SMU game is a great game to get it done, to go out there and make a name for himself, right? Now, it depends on how long the starter's in. If this game is going very quickly, right, then it's probably only going to be, say, 2 quarters that, many of the starters get a chance to show what they got. But if the game is closer, longer, for a longer period of time, right, and they're playing into the late third quarter, then that gives you more of an opportunity to be on the field for more plays, right, and to get that done, right. But I think Brian Juice Jenkins definitely has that opportunity this game at SMU, right, to show what he's worth, right, and to show scouts for all these different leagues that he is a player who at least you want to give an opportunity for a combine invite. The next player, right, is Keyshawn Johnson, right? Linebacker, right? Leader of that linebacker core. He is a transfer over from ULM, University of Louisiana Monroe. Last year, he had a great season, 76 total tackles, 33 solo, 11 tackles for a loss, 5 sacks, 3 pass breakups, right? 1 forced fumble. Um, Great stat line, right? Now, when I looked at that stat line though, and then looked and compared him to some of the others, right? Rico Dozier, right? I'm looking at Bubba over at Alabama State. He needs to. I mean, he needs to increase his tackles per game to that 8, 9, 10 per game range. That's where he needs to be if he really wants to be up there with those who people believe are going to get a look, right? This year after the season. Um, he started out the year strong with 14 tackles in the first game against Texas Southern, but against Abilene Christian, he regressed only with 3 tackles, right? And so, of course, that's still right now 8.5 average. If he maintains that average, he's going to end up, I believe, with 93 tackles, right, for the season. And that's putting him where he needs to be, right? Because that's where those individuals who are going to get all SWAC honors will be, and that's also where those people will be that they say, hey, who is this individual, right, that was around the ball that much that they were able to make 93 tackles? Like, we need to give that young man a look. Now, the thing is, at ULM, he only totaled 37 tackles. He only totaled 37 tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, and 1 sack in 17 games. So is it a thing to where he can play, or is this just a thing where he's now at a place where this competition is lower? That's going to remain to be seen. But he has an opportunity to make a name for himself, and this will be a great game, right, to show up and fly around and be everywhere in the field, right, in the time that he's going to be there. Now, he's on track right now to do 93 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, and 1 sack, right? So again, his tackles for a loss numbers and his sack numbers, the trajectory, obviously it's only 2 games in that I'm basing the trajectory off of, right? But he's going to have to increase those numbers obviously drastically, right? He had 5 sacks last year. Right now, the Panthers have no sacks on the year in 2 games. He's going to really have to increase those numbers if he wants to be somebody that scouts come in and say, hey, man, I want to give this guy a look. And so that tackles for a loss number 11 last year, 5 sacks last year. He's going to have to hit that and greater with those 93 tackles if he's gonna really get a shake and get a look as far as NFL, USFL, XFL, whatever scouts are concerned, get those combine invites. Now this SMU game is a great game to show up and do that, right? Because again, this is the FBS game on the schedule for the Panthers, so this is his chance to do that. The next individual is Caleb Johnson, right? And Jimmy said Juice needs more touches on offense and special teams. Yeah, and I didn't even bring Juice's special teams numbers into it. I just mentioned him as a receiver, right? But of course, he's played special teams at Alabama A&M. He's also playing special teams now, right? And so that's a whole nother component to his game that can add, right, to his ability, right, to be a part of a team, right? And so same thing with Josh Simmons that we see with Pittsburgh Maulers, right? I mean, he's there because of his special teams play. That's the reality, right? Even though he's listed as a wide receiver. And so I think Juice is in that same range, right, and could get that same type of look. So Caleb Johnson, of course, man, big pickup coming over from Mississippi Valley. His career numbers, 518 total attempts, 2,125 yards total, 13 touchdowns total, 4.1 average, right? I mean, look, he put in work. He was very dynamic at Mississippi Valley. We definitely know because he ran all over us, right? And so to have him as a pickup is awesome. I think he's another guy that has an opportunity, a chance to show his running ability this game, to show his strength and power this game at SMU. So again, right, put some film on, right, put some film up, put some tape up, so that when it comes time after the season for him to get a look and to get a shake, listen, this is one of the games they're going to go back to watch and to see. And so this is another chance for him also. Again, depends on how this game goes. I think the game is not going to be that close, right? So I'm saying, hey, you really got 2 quarters to put in that work and do what you need to do, because I think the backups are going to get a lot of shake in that third and fourth quarter. But that's enough time, right, in order to put in work. You look at Chance Williams over at Grambling and what he did to LSU. Listen, he may not be at Grambling next year because of what he did against Graham, right? And so, these are some things that these are some of the 3 individuals that I think have an opportunity. I think right now, Caleb Johnson, he's on track, right, to do 143 attempts, 825 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Listen, that again, right, just like Juice, these are those borderline, right, SWAC, all SWAC numbers, right? To where when I'm looking at the all SWAC team from this past year, of course, you had Jarvion Howard, who put in up numbers, right? You got you had Wilkerson right over from Jackson State. But of course, you got England, who's coming back, right? Who also is going to be up there. You got Ladarius Owens, who had 661 yards last year. I think he's going to increase those numbers. But listen, the first 3 backs all had 1,000 yards, but that 4th back was at 873 yards, and the fifth back was at 790. So if you can get up to that 825, right, 6 touchdowns, you're going to be in a position where you have a chance, right, to get that all SWAC honors. And again, right, put some film together so where you can get a look. So outside of that, man, I got some other players who I'm interested in watching for this game. Not necessarily because of their particular opportunity to put some tape together, but just because I'm interested to see what they can do. One player is, though, and that's the one in the middle right there. That's Ahmad Antoine, right? I think he's also in that same boat with Caleb Johnson. Caleb Johnson is stronger to me because of what he's done over the long haul in his career in the SWAC, right? And so that's why I have him as one of those 3 that I mentioned up front, right? But of course, Ahmad Antoine, right, AA, definitely has an opportunity also to put some film together against SMU, and to if he has a strong year, right, he's definitely a back that I think is capable of getting a call up, right. He just got to put it together, man, and stay on the field. The other 2 individuals that I'm looking forward to, right, because again, I think by halftime you're gonna see a lot more from the backups, right, and so I'm interested in seeing CJ Dumas, right. He's the current backup right now. 2nd year with the Panthers team. And I think this is a young man who the coaches are hoping, right, can grow into his own, who can be the next QB for PV, right? And I like what I've seen for him so far, but now I think him having an opportunity to have an extended chance, right, to play is going to be great, right? This is a great game for him and some of the other backups to have an extended chance, right, to get on the ball, man, and to put some actual game time action together, because it's not often, right, that you get that chance a lot of times, especially when you got a team that really believes they can win the SWAC championship and is vying for that place. And so to also solidify him, right, in that role as the number one going into the spring, I think what he does in this game when he has an extended time on the field is also important, because you can't be PV football, right? And you're about to have Conley graduate at the end of this year and be gone, and you don't bring somebody else in, right? So they're going to be looking to bring in another quarterback, or they should be looking to bring in another QB, right, to compete for the starting job. But if you want to kind of already put a leg up and show the coaches like, hey, I'm that next guy up, and nobody's coming in and going to take that from me, I think this is a good opportunity with some extended time to show that. The other person is Connor Wisham, man. You've seen his explosiveness, you've seen his power already so far, and the limited chances he's gotten, right. But obviously he's the next one up. He's the next running back up in this dynamic running attack, right, that PV has. And so Double A is going to be gone, right? Caleb Johnson's going to be gone. So seeing him get some extended time too as well is going to be awesome. Because I really think, man, he has the ability to be one of the best in the SWAC, right? When he's really that guy who's going to take the load and the bulk of the carries. So I'm really interested in seeing him. And I put every backup linebacker, right? Because I'm really interested in seeing that and seeing that unit. Right now we have a very, very veteran unit, right? The linebackers corps, right? I think we got 4 seniors on that unit, 1 junior that play, I mean, majority of the time, right? So I'm really interested in seeing the backups, right? I'm interested in seeing those freshmen, those sophomores get on the field, right, and show what they got, show what talent they have, right? And even for the coaches, right, to be able to see, hey, when this year is over and ends, do we need to bring in, like, who do we need to bring in, even maybe through the portal, right, to add or to plug holes there, right, to make sure that unit is solid and strong? Who steps up and shows that, hey, no, I'm ready to take that next step in that leap, and in order to take and lead that unit. And so I'm super excited to seeing what all the backup linebackers as well play and get some extended time in this game too as well. So yeah, man, that's what I'm interested in seeing. Just want to come on and share, because like I say, man, I think this, like Willie Simmons says, man, hey, this is a get your money game. This is one of them get your money games. And so I believe like they got a chance to do that. So anyway, I appreciate you guys coming on. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, right? Let me know in the comments what you think, what your thoughts are, right? Who you think has an opportunity to get their money this game. And until next time, right? You know what it is. I'll see you later. All right.